The first experience I had with StructureScan was up in the New Bern area. We were doing a show where we were fishing like the Trent River system, and it was just totally incredible. We were going up there to fish the striped bass as well as some sea trout, redfish, and we're fishing in a variety of situations. A lot of ground cover coming off the shoreline, tree stumps, things like that. Then we would also fish along the bridges. And where it first amazed me, when we were striper fishing around these bridges and we're going in and out of these pilings, not only could you see the pilings, the front surface of the pilings, but also down the sides all the way through the entire span. But what I found even more incredible was that you could see all these pieces of debris, and I'm talking about concrete pilings. Look like sometimes old buckets down there, just all the debris fields that were in between the spans that could make up different structure points. If you were a flounder fisherman, for example, you would be in heaven finding these spots that a lot of people don't know about. Well, we kept at it, and sure enough, we found bait concentrations, and we got into the striped bass. Another spot, we fished around this railroad trestle. It was like a little bridge that we were going under. It had a lot of spans in there. And what was remarkable, it was about maybe the second or third span in, StructureScan showed a ball of bait, like a bait concentration, that looked to be 10, 15 feet way back inside of this area where the pilings were at. It was just so incredible. And you just knew that if you had the bait there, that's where the striped bass would be. When it came time to fish over like the timbers and all that, it's just really amazing. You sit there working a surface plug in this area, and you could see the trees that are down along the bottom of this shallow river. We're in about 8 to 10 feet of water, and where these big structure points were at, and that enabled you to make casts. You could see where the bait concentrations were. It was just totally awesome, and it was just a home run for us when we fished out of New Bern for that show. The offshore world, which I do a lot of reef fishing for bottom fish and kings. I do a lot of offshore trolling. It opens up an entirely different universe for us. We'll start in the inlets. When you're running out of an inlet, or if you say you're going to fish the inlets for snook or tarpon, in my case off of South Florida, not only can you see directly down beneath your boat, but now you can see off to the sides and the ledges on the inlets, and you could find bait concentrations or even, say, schools of snook and tarpon that you might overlook if you're looking completely straight down. You might be drifting an area and find out that the snook are balled up over here by about 30 or 40 feet in this one zone. And you could see that as you're working through the inlet. You could adapt your fishing accordingly and go in the zones where you find the bait and the fish. As far as the reef fishing, working shallow reefs, I do a lot of fishing on this one spot that it's basically a trough in between two reefs. And we could get in this trough, and it's amazing that you could see the side of the trough going up, and you could mark bait concentrations. You can mark concentrations of yellowtail snapper and the cirro mackerel. When they start moving down during the winter, you could pick up those as well. So now, not only do you have the ability to read what's beneath your boat and see the structure and any bait concentrations that might be directly beneath you, but now we have the ability to see way off to the sides, port or starboard side of the boat, and see what we're missing, or find out any type of bait concentrations and where to set up. That's going to help us tremendously there. It's the same thing with a wreck. If you get on top of a big wreck, you tend to believe where the fish might be stacking, and you normally go over that with your depth sounder and fish finder, and you can mark the fish if they're there. But while you're doing that, when you first arrive and you work a StructureScan, you could see the different parts of the wreck. You could see off to the sides of the wreck to find out where the activity is, and it's just a shortcut to helping you get dialed in to find out where these fish are at. And I think the beauty of this whole thing, the more that I get into it, the more I start using it in my reef fishing and offshore fishing, is if we're working certain sections of a reef, if we're trolling along, and we notice a big break or some shelf or something that really looks good, we could actually scroll back with the machine, get the coordinates of that spot, and put it into the system itself. And this is how you could go upon building new fishing hotspots, because you now have that ability to see not what is 100% beneath you, which of course you have that, but also off to the side. So it's another world. It helps you find the fish. It helps you develop new fishing spots because of the feature to backtrack and save those coordinates. It's just going to be a home run hit for all saltwater anglers, especially the reef and the offshore guys. The thing is, when you see StructureScan and some of the features, you might be a little bit intimidated at first, but I could tell you that I had this thing all figured out and dialed in the first 3 or 4 minutes. It's very simple to use. Everything pops up on the screen. It takes you right to it. The menus are right there, very self-explanatory. So it's a very easy system to use. Somebody who was just getting into saltwater fishing, for example, could use this machine and within a half hour, be very comfortable with that and actually start finding fish in bottom structures and really seeing what's out there. It's that easy to use. What I like about it too is there's so many fine-tuning opportunities there that you could change the palettes around, pick out what color might be more sensitive or might show some of these structure breaks and the bait fish concentrations better if you're in deeper water, say, versus some spots in shallow. So you have that broad feature there to help dial you in. It's just a very simple to use machine and very effective. In salt water, StructureScan is a home run hit. It's not only going to enable you to see what's directly beneath your boat, but you're going to find bait concentrations and game fish concentrations off to the side. On top of that, you're going to find new fishing hotspots that you could save and go back to and log those coordinates in. It's going to change the whole game in saltwater fishing. It's an incredible item, and it's a must-have item. It's going to help you catch more fish in the long run.